It's the end of the month, and there's time for just one more epic fan mail. Let's do this. First package is from Daniel Skinner, frequent fan mailer. Let's see what it is. Oh, why isn't this cutting? I had the blade turned the wrong way. Ugh. Guess it's still not cutting. There's just a lot of tape. Okay, what do we have here? Okie dokie. Okay, first things first. The book, Hocus Pocus, and the all-new sequel. If you watched the fan mail that dropped a day or two ago, I don't know when this video exactly will post, but Daniel Skinner is a big fan of Hocus Pocus, so much so that he sent me 2 different Blu-rays of Hocus Pocus. He really wants me to watch it, and he sent me the book so I can potentially read it with my kids or have my wife read it, because I don't know actually how to read. Very cool, very cool. Then we have some movies. First up is Zola, a new 2021 movie that came out over the summer. I didn't happen to catch this one. I don't think they did a press screening for it. I don't think I was invited to it if they did do one. So, or maybe I just missed it because it's busy summertime. So perhaps I'll be able to check this one out a little bit late to the party. Then we have the classic The Thing from John Carpenter. This is one of these movies I watched back in the day, and I liked it enough, but it didn't necessarily pop, because back in the day, I'm a big John Carpenter person, so, but more directly action, I guess, and so I really liked, you know, Escape from New York, and then was a big fan of the original Halloween, and so for whatever reason, this one kind of went a little bit under the radar for me. And then last year for 31 on 31, it was Creature Features, and part of that was The Thing. And watched it again and finally could like really appreciate everything that was going on in that movie. And I don't know why it didn't click with me back when I watched it back in the day, but such a pleasant, not really surprised, that's not the right word for it, because I knew it was a solid movie. I knew John Carpenter's great. I knew this was one of his movies that didn't do great when it initially came out, but that people loved it over time. So it shouldn't have been all that surprising, but still had a certain level of surprise how much I actually ended up enjoying it even more than I was expecting. And then we have Black Hawk Down, a movie I've never seen. I just missed it. Whatever reason, whenever it came out, I missed it. And then now, 20 years later or whatever, I still haven't seen it. So that one can potentially help me watch one of those films that's in my gaps in my viewing history. And then we have the DVD of The Haunted Mansion. They announced a remake is on the way with Owen Wilson and Rosario Dawson very recently, and so I guess he sent me this one so I could check out the original. And then, to mess with me, he sent me Trolls. He loves to send me the DreamWorks films that I was less than kind to in my full DreamWorks ranking of all the theatrically released films, and so then he sent me one of the ones that was not particularly high on that list. Hey, thank you so much, man. I believe he's actually seeing Dune, I think, today, or No Time Dies. He's in a bunch of classic movie, really cool stuff before me. He's let me know all about that in my DMs. Next up, we've got, wow, 2 big boxes from some neat frequent fan mailer, and always sends huge epic packages with interesting stuff. So let's see what we got. Slicing towards myself, so if we have a serious injury, that's why. Cut for myself. All right, package number 1. Holy guacamole! Woo! Goodness. All right, where to even begin on this one? First up, we've got the Steelbook for $300. I am a massive fan of this movie. As soon as I saw the trailer, I was like, that is a movie designed for me. Saw it, loved it. And then rewatched all of Zack Snyder's movies earlier this year. Saw it again. Of course, seen it many times over the years. Still loved it. Just a great film. And that's in Steelbook. And then Goodfellas. Classic Scorsese film that I really need to rewatch. I believe he has a new movie coming out next year. This is coming out next year. And hopefully I can make that happen. That's one of my most frequently requested videos, is all Scorsese movies ranked. And one of the little pieces in there helped make that happen. And we got a couple of these Bad Mamba Jambas. Both these actually pretty helpful because I've got kids, so Toy Story's on loop in my house. And so the discs we have for them are just destroyed. He sent me Steelbooks for parts 1 and part 3. Awesome, awesome, awesome. And then, this beauty right here, Joker. I loved Joker. I just thought it was a great way to handle the character, do something different with the comic book movie genre. There's the Steelbook for it. And then the Iron Man trilogy in Steelbook. Obviously, I'm a big, gigantic MCU fan, so those are a delight to have in my collection. And that's just the first ones. Those are the standalones. And then we have a couple of box sets in here. First one on here is the Planet of the Apes massive collection set. If you haven't heard me talk about these movies, I was so skeptical about the reboot trilogy when they did it, and I didn't even go see the Rise of the Planet of the Apes in the theater, and then I rented it on Blu-ray on a whim, and I was like, wow, I was so wrong about this movie. I was so unbelievably wrong. I thought it was just great. And then the next one was even better, and then the third one closed out the trilogy wonderfully. Loved it. But I also have like a history going back with the old movies. It was the 30th anniversary when I was in high school. Actually, this is kind of a sad story to tie onto this, but my mom was in a car accident the Friday of my first week of my junior year in high school. I was actually in the hospital for 2 months. It was very serious. Her car flipped and a bunch of stuff happened. And so I basically spent those 2 months, all my free time at the hospital, and they had cable there, and it was the 30th anniversary of the release of the original film. And so they were doing like these constant loops of the Planet of the Apes movies and doing all these behind the scenes things. And so that was like very seared in my brain. Fall '98, I believe it was, or whatever it would have been, the 30th anniversary, right around the time. Watching those movies in the hospital with my mother who was recovering, and they've always been a part of my life. And then this is like the jumbo edition collector's set of the whole deal with all the special features. 50th anniversary, because 20 years has passed, over 20 years now has passed since I was in high school, and so that is so cool. And then we have, wow, this is the Friday the 13th Deluxe Edition set of movies from Scream Factory. And Scream Factory, what they do their sets, they go all out with the special features, behind the scenes, and everything. And so this is remarkable. This is incredible. I've always been a Friday the 13th guy. That was the slasher movie series that was on cable when I was growing up, so the ones that I saw more. So these are ones I have the most nostalgia for. And actually right now, I've been going through the Halloween franchise and prep for the new one, and watching all the special features, which also Scream Factory versions of those ones, watching all their behind the scenes stuff that they did. And I mean, they really go all out. And so this is an amazing find, and I want to do a new updated Friday the 13th ranking so I can watch all of these again on Blu-ray with all the special features, and have like that in-depth experience like I'm doing with Halloween right now. Like literally an hour before I shot this video, I was watching the Scream Factory special features on Halloween H2O on the behind the scenes. And so this is, wow, man, you really, he told me, DM me like, man, I went all out on this one. This is a good one. He was not lying, and we're only halfway because there's a whole nother box. Wow. Ugh. Okie dokie. Whew. Whoa, whoa. Trouble. Okie dokie dokie. No, that's not. Do not need to worry about that. Okay. First up, we've got the Ang Lee Hulk film in 4K. Obviously, I'm a big, gigantic, anything Marvel, I'm a fan of and find watchable. Even the stuff that I rank poorly, I find watchable and like to re-explore them. And actually, like I did my ranking of all 58 Marvel movies a couple years back, and I'm like antsy to get to like update it. And I know I have to wait a couple more years to do it, but like I'm thinking like, man, how can I even top that one and make it even better? And having like the proper, full, fancy versions of the movies to do a deep dive on everything. Certainly can help make that happen. Oh, this is perfect. This is awesome. This is the 4K collection, 5 movies on 4K, 12 discs with multiple cuts of all the different movies with Spider-Man, the Raimi trilogy, plus the Amazing Spider-Man films. I'll tell you what's coming up. My plan, starting, I believe at the beginning of November, is doing weekly reviews of these exact movies. And as I just talked about with these, like I can't wait to like cover these because I want to watch all the special features and all the behind the scenes and everything to cover them. That's what I am planning on doing with actual full reviews for each individual movie starting about a month from now. And then open my fan mail and like the perfect thing arrives to make it happen. So like that's not just like something obviously love Spider-Man and they're ones I can watch with my kids and they get excited about it too, but like helpful for what's coming up in the very near future with my channel. Then we have The Patriot. I've always loved this movie. It came out, I believe, right after I graduated high school. And while it's, you know, obviously not a follow-up to Braveheart, in a certain sense, it provides a lot of the same rah-rah freedom, Mel Gibson, bloodlust type plot lines. Not as good as Braveheart, it's schlockier, but I've always loved that one. And then we've got 4K for the original X-Men trilogy. Obviously, once again, love Marvel, love these X-Men movies, so important to the genre. And also the original one of these came out right after I graduated high school. And so it was like right before I graduated high school, everyone was talking about, like, can you see that X-Men movie's coming out? We got an X-Men movie coming out. Because everyone my age watched the X-Men, the animated series back in the 90s. And it's like, what? We're gonna get a live action movie? This is awesome. So these movies are like such a key piece of my childhood. Then we have 4Ks of The Evil Dead and The Evil Dead 2. Speaking of movies that were huge for me in the 90s, the Evil Dead trilogy. At some point in time, I discovered Army of Darkness and became obsessed with quoting Ash and all the quotes from that movie, and then discovered that the other ones were awesome too. And so this is like just awesome. Awesome. Love these movies. And there's a new one coming out, I believe, next year for HBO Max. So we'll be doing some deep dives into that series as well. So awesome, awesome, awesome. Woo! Moving right along in here, we have a trilogy of, I guess, possession films. I haven't seen it's called The Possession, that's why I said that. Possession, Cabin in the Woods, and Sinister. I haven't seen these two. I have seen Cabin in the Woods, and big fan of that one, but those two, I actually need to see those two. And then, right up, we've got a trilogy of Nicolas Cage movies with Snake Eyes, The Rock, and Face Off. And I don't know if you have the completion of the trilogy. I'm not quite sure if it's over there with Con Air, or if I already had that. All right, I think I already had that. So I'm gonna send it to you. But when I was in high school, Nicolas Cage, or right before I was in high school, Nicolas Cage won an Oscar, and he went, you know what I want to do now that I'm a prestige actor with an Oscar? He did a trilogy of awesome 90s action movies. All 3 of them I'm a massive fan of: Con Air, The Rock, Face Off. And if I had to rank the 3 of them, and I've thought about doing that as ability, Nick Cage's action movie trilogy, I don't even know what it would be. And I've seen all those movies a lot of times, and there's so many different levels to how I could decide which one to rank where, because they're just movies that I've watched so many times before, and it in different ways meant so. Blocking one of my lights. Trying to figure. There's like this weird red light glowing behind me. It's the box shining on my light shining onto my box. Anyway, I'm getting distracted because I'm talking too much because my brain is just such an awe. Anyway. That Snake Eyes, actually, I haven't seen. That's Brian De Palma, right? Yeah, Brian De Palma. I believe his follow-up to Mission Impossible. I haven't seen that one. I remember when it came out because by then I was kind of following movies. My mom had a subscription to Entertainment Weekly, so I was following movies in that fashion, but I haven't actually seen it. Then we have Heat, the classic crime film that was heavily influenced The Dark Knight. I have seen it before, but it's been a long time. It's like one of those movies that I've needed to rewatch for years. It just hasn't happened quite yet. Now we're one step closer to making that easy to happen. Okay, let's go. All right. Next up, we've got a set of the Scooby-Doo movies. There's a ton of Scooby-Doo movies. But we got the battle zombies, battling aliens, and then battling, I guess, the internet with this one. And so my kids are actually big fans of Scooby-Doo. My 3-year-old, the one that is now starting to get very good with sentences, she actually can sing along to the Scooby-Doo theme song. So she'll just be sitting off playing with her toys, and she can't say paragraphs, but she can say sentences now, and she'll just start singing the Scooby-Doo theme song. And so these ones always are a big, fun hit with my family. And that'll lead us to a John Grisham 3-pack of movies that, all these John Grisham movies back in the 90s, I went and saw all of them in the theater. My mom, sister, and I, when I was growing up, we would do these like 6-week-long car trips across America, and we'd go visit, her family in Denver, or we'd drive back to California where I was born, or we'd never gone to New England, so we went up to New England for a couple, 3 weeks. And whenever we do these car trips, we'd drive most of the way, and we would listen to John Grisham books. And this was right as all of these movies were coming out, so we would listen to the books, and then we watched the movie. So I have such fond memories of the good old days of John Grisham and all of these movies. And then you got married and found out my wife is also a big fan of these ones. And so but of these three, Time to Kill is easily my favorite of these three. The Pelican Brief is the one my wife always wants to watch, and The Client, I really need to rewatch it. I haven't rewatched that one in quite a while. Then, Raging Bull, the classic Martin Scorsese boxing film. I have seen it, but it's been a while. Once again, going back to that thing of like, one of these days I will do that Scorsese ranking. I just need him to have a new movie to come out for me to have it come out at the right time where I can do all the build up to it. So it's definitely on my mind, and some neat and others have been doing due diligence to try and send me his movies to make it as easy as possible for me to make that happen. All right, move right along. Completing the original Toy Story trilogy, also the Steelbook for Toy Story 2, which once again, actually this one is, I think this is the one that is the most scratched of our discs. This one is like, it skips over the middle 30 minutes of the film every time you watch it. That's the one I know is scratched. I think 3 is okay, but number 1 isn't great, but 2 is the one that is actually destroyed. Then we've got the 4K for the original trilogy of Predator films, which, as of last week, not only do I've had a 4K TV for a year, and then my neighbor gave me a 4K player. And so over the last couple months, I started to be able to watch 4Ks, but I'd been waiting. I bought the 4K TV in prep for getting the PlayStation 5. And last week I got one. Finally got that PlayStation 5 last week. It actually happened. And so all these 4Ks, I can actually enjoy them on my television set. And telling you a little bit about my parenting, my son actually loves the Predator movies. Predator movies that he's seen. I've shown him a couple of them. He loves Predators, he loves Xenomorphs, so he's seen some of the Alien movies, he's seen some of the Predator movies. There's at least one movie in here that he hasn't seen yet that he really, really wants to watch. And apparently his mom thinks that's a bad idea, and so that's marital conflict. And closing things out, 4K of Cliffhanger. I love Cliffhanger. I've said it many times before, Stallone's my favorite actor. And his run of action movies in the 80s, 90s, love all that stuff. One of them in there that sometimes gets a little bit over. It's not like this forgotten classic or anything like that, because it was a big hit film. People still talk about it. But of movies of that era, of his movies, it's not exactly one. It's not the most ridiculous. It's not one of the big franchises, and so it's not discussed quite as much. But just a solid, good old-fashioned action movie. Some people write it off as Cliffhanger or Die Hard on a cliff, and it's kind of that. It's that basic idea of the lone guy having to stop the terrorist in an isolated location. But a guy that climbs rocks is quite different from John McClane in a building. They're very different. And ironically, this is directed by the guy that directed Die Hard 2. So anyway, wow. You guys really outdid yourself. All throughout the month, Daniel Skinner sent me a ton of stuff, and then this package from some neat. I don't have words. I'm in shock. I'm in awe. You told me that this one was going to blow my mind. You frequently ask, was this one better than the last one? I'd say this one, I think I can safely say the best of the ones that you've sent thus far, and you've sent some insane fan mail before. Wow. Wow. You are incredibly generous, both of you. Thank you so much for your generosity, for watching my content, caring what I have to say, and stopping to think and thinking through all the things you'd send. It blows my mind every single month. I can't even squeeze it all on camera, but this is wild. Thank you. I've said that enough times. Keep talking movies too much.